He's been breaking for 10 years straight, so you know he's here.
I've got some really weird emotions.
The energy's a thriller, and the cards are always killer. Cheap fun breaks is the big league way.
Sorry about the late start. I'm all in my emotions right now, so got a late start. Dealing with, this bullshit family drama stuff. I don't, I go out of my way not to have to deal with that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, Chris Paddock, Tyrone Taylor, Trey Barea for the Nationals, Rico Garcia, and then check this out. Tell me if this is okay. What do you guys think about this? Damn, that's a nice card, bro. That is a nice card. So that goes to the White Sox. Obviously, we all know that, but my staff probably won't know it. So I'm going to write White Sox on there so that my staff won't mess it up. Also a White Sox, Danny Mendick, Ryu, Flaherty, Willie Castro, and Juan Soto. It's another good card for the Nationals, in my humble opinion. It's a cool Nationals hit right there. Okay, so let's sleeve these up. It's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice start, I think. I think that's a pretty nice start. It's just an amazing card. I really like it. I really do. Danny Mendick for the White Sox. All right. Hey, Royals, how are you? Your brother-in-law is a moron? All right, well, all right, so I'm going to tell you guys the story. There's only 30 of us here. I'm going to tell you all the story, all right? So, my goddaughter, right? She's 19. I help raise her. She was living with me for a few years. I bought her first car, right? So I buy her first car and she wrecks it on her birthday. But it wasn't her. She had let somebody else drive it. So she was on my insurance, right? And when you go on my insurance, your friends aren't allowed to drive the car. Only you can drive it because you're on my insurance. And she let a friend drive her car, Acuna, and her friend didn't have a license, and her friend caused an accident. They were driving down the road in the center lane. They decided they wanted to turn right, and there was a car in the right lane, and they turned in the right lane and hit the car, right? So it was an accident. Nobody was hurt, but so she comes up. This was 2 shops ago, but it was only I guess it's been like 14 months. It hasn't been that long ago. And she came up and she was like, I got to talk to you. I'm like, okay, what's up? And she was like, there was in an accident with my car. And she was like, but it wasn't my fault. She was like, but, we called the insurance company and and I was like, well, did they ticket the other driver? Because she told me it wasn't her fault, right? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, you don't know? She's like, no. I was like, well, how do you not know? She goes, I don't know what the cop did. I'm like, all right. Brendan McKay, rookie. I'm like, all right, well, if it wasn't your fault, don't worry about it. You know, as long as you're okay. Boba shit. But she didn't tell me right away, right? It was like a day or two later, and she finally told me. And I was like, but we had a rule. If she was ever in an accident, anything that involved the insurance, you know, after calling, you know, 911 or the police or whatever, she called me, right? That was the rule. I was like, but you were supposed to call me. She goes, I know, I thought you'd be upset. And I was like, I don't care anything about the car. You know, as long as you're okay. I mean, the car, it means nothing to me. She's like, all right. So a little while later, I get the insurance paperwork, right? And my insurance is being sued. And my insurance is being sued by the driver of my car. And I'm like, that's weird because I don't recognize the name, right? And I figured they just messed up the paperwork and it was the driver of the other car that is suing my insurance company, which happens, you know. So I call my insurance company. I'm like, look, I was like, you got this messed up. And they were like, no. The driver of your car, who was underage, did not have a license, and was at fault and was ticketed, is the person who is suing. I was like, what? So they're like, you know, the person driving the car wasn't the person I thought was driving the car. They didn't have a license. They were only 17, and they caused the accident. They were ticketed, and they're suing for injuries or whatever. She didn't have any injuries, but in Florida, popular insurance scam apparently is anytime you're in an accident, you sue the insurance company. So I call my goddaughter, and I'm like, what in the hell? And she's like, I didn't lie to you. She goes, I didn't get a ticket. It wasn't my fault. I was furious, right? So I'm really mad. So about a month later, she's sitting at a stop sign, right? She's 18. She's sitting at a stop sign, and she's hit head on by a drunk driver. And this is not her fault. Totals her car. And she calls me immediately, right? And I rush over there, make sure she's okay. She's shooken up, but she was sitting at a stop sign and got hit head on in a residential area. She was leaving her girlfriend's house. So I'm like, okay, all right, don't worry about this. Obviously not your fault. Not a big deal. But the car's totaled, and we're gonna have to, again, still my insurance. I was like, we're gonna have to get you, you know, a new car. They're gonna write you a check. And we're going to take the check, use that as a down payment, and we're going to get you a car. And she's like, okay. So in the new car, she was sitting at a red light and got rear-ended, right? Again, not her fault. It could happen to anybody. But she had a string of 3 accidents. Boom, 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 right? And she called me right away. I was in an accident. I was sitting at a red light, and I got hit from behind. I was like, okay, you're okay? She says, yeah. I was like, did the other driver drive off? She's like, no. I was like, all right, just, you know, exchange insurance cards, get their information, and everything's fine. I was like, if I were you, I'd call the police. She's like, I don't like calling the police. I was like, fine, just get their insurance, get a copy of their license, you know, all these things, right? So she doesn't get their name. She gets a copy of an insurance card that's fake, and she doesn't get their ID, and they drive off, and now, you know, my insurance is stuck repairing her car because she didn't get the right? So I'm like, okay. So we put her on her own insurance now. Now she's on her own insurance in her own name. And she was in an accident on Friday. And she calls me and she's like, I'm going to be late to work. And I'm like, what's going on? Are you okay? And she's like, no, there's an emergency, but I can't tell you what it is. And I was like, yes, you can. You're texting me. You can tell me what it is. What's going on? Are you okay? She says, I'm fine. I'm like, is your brother okay? Her little brother. She's like, yeah, he's fine. I was like, all right, well, you know, tell me as soon as you can. She's like, okay. I don't hear from her for the rest of the day. So I get to work here that night, and one of my staff comes out and is like, look, we got to talk. And I'm like, what do we got to talk about? And he shows me her car, and he was like, you can talk to her, but you can't talk to her the way you did last time. Now, I've never yelled at her about a car accident. I was furious when she lied to me, but I've never yelled at her. All I care about is she's okay. I don't care about a car. So I'm like, what? And he was like, you can't talk to her like you did last time. I was like, listen, I just look like this. You got to get out of my face. And so he steps away. I go in. I mean, she's obviously all right, because she drove the car up to the shop. So I just come back here. I just go to work. I just don't say anything to her because I'm so mad that she had somebody else like get in my face like that. Like as if, I was going to scream or something like that. So that's what I've been dealing. This is an amazing pack. This pack is amazing. Look at this. Not only did we get Luis Robert and Dominguez, we got another Bobby Witt. Oh my gosh. Holy cow, bro. What a break. Oh my gosh. Bobby Witt auto, Dominguez base, Luis Robert base, and a Luis Robert auto out of Optic. So, well, the thing that bothers me isn't that she was in a car accident. All right? That happens. Even if it's her fault, it happens. I don't lose my mind over stuff like that. When I was 16, I was in 2 car accidents in a week, right? I was in 2 car accidents in a week, and they were both my fault. It wasn't a big deal, but I was following too closely, and when a poorer driver in front of me had to slam on their brakes because I was driving too close, I hit him, right? I hit him. And that didn't happen just once, it happened twice, and I had to call my mom. And my mom left work to come to the scene because, I was just a teenager and I was nervous. You know what I mean? So when I was a teenager and I did something stupid, I called my mom. I called somebody to come and be with me because I was freaking out. So, I mean, I get it. It happens. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but I'm not going to stand here in my 40s and talk shit because a teenager was in a car accident. You know what I mean? It's part of life. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to keep paying their insurance either. You know what my parents did? They put me on my own insurance. They put me on my own insurance, and rightly so, rightly so. But she's on her own insurance. So her insurance company will pay for her car, even if it's her fault. She's got Geico. Geico will pay for her car minus her deductible. Which her deductible's really high because her payments are really high. She pays $750 a month in car insurance. But that's because she's in so many accidents, right? And now it's going to either go up or Geico's going to drop her. I don't know which, Luis Robert. But what I'm mad about is she apparently said something to somebody that works for me that was so bad that they felt like they had to come out and like protect her from me. And that is the thing that I just can't stand, because that's the opposite of who I am. I never yell and scream at somebody, even if it was their fault, because they're going through enough. You know what I mean? I don't do that. I don't lose my mind. I don't care about the car. She put a check, the check she got, which I paid for the first car, right? And she took the check she got from insurance and $8,000 that I gave her. And that was her down payment on this car. So her payments on this car are really, really low, but it's a 2019. It's a really nice car. But it's a really safe car too. That's why I wanted it. But technically, the car's in her name and my name because I had to co-sign. Otherwise, they never would have done it. But Duran, Pena, Tatis, Mike Trout, Gavin Lux, Ryu, Bichette, Josh Bell, Mendick, Juan Soto, which is a cool card, by the way. Juan Soto to 84. Castro, Jack Flaherty, Ryu, Tres Barea for the Nationals, and Rico Garcia for the Rockies. But what a 3-box break. I mean, man, that was really, really, really nice. It was a really nice break. It really was. Okay, so let me clean up and take a couple pictures. So anyway, that's why I'm at sorts, but I'm not upset about a car accident. You know, it happens. It happens. You know, it's part of life. It's not the end of the world. But I am upset about the other thing. And you know, they both should have known better. She shouldn't have. Basically, what she said to him was that she was afraid I was going to get mad, and he took it. You know, he took it from there. But I was pretty pissed. I was pretty pissed that he came out and was like, you know, however you handled it last time, don't handle it like that this time. That really pissed me off. So anyway, now I've told you all my life story. Good thing we're all friends. Well, see that Mosstown, you've got the same approach that my wife has. My wife says the same thing. She says she's a horrible driver, but I don't think she's for one, the first accident she wasn't even driving. Now I fault her because she let the person drive that drove, right? But you can't say that she caused that accident. She wasn't driving. And then the other two definitely weren't her fault. Now, granted, she was just a kid, but she was sitting at a stop sign and sitting at a red light. So they're definitely not her fault. So this one, I'm assuming was her fault. Otherwise, she'd have told me about it right away. You know, this one, the front end of her car is smashed in. So I'm assuming she did what I did when I was a kid, and she hit somebody probably stopped suddenly, and she was driving too close, and she hit him. That's the only thing I can assume because she hasn't talked to me about it. But I don't think that makes her a bad driver. You know, technically one accident that, you know, was her fault. Anyway, that's my life story. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that bell for notifications. If you enjoyed what you watched, smash the like button. And if you're looking for a great group break, remember.
He's been breaking for 10 years straight. Who knows what he'll pull today? Cheap fun breaks is the big league way.
This has been a production of CFB TV.